What's up, YouTube? In today's episode, we are doing another case study on a fall sport coat, but this one is more of a look geared towards the office. So we get a lot of questions from a handful of our clients regarding what some would kind of call the modern day office, where it's not as dressed up as it once was, and you can kind of be overdressed a little more easily than you could have been in years past, and yet a lot of people tend to dress very casual. So in the past, I've written a handful of blogs on how you can start to sort of become that guy that wears a blazer or wears a sport coat, assuming that your office environment does not already have that as kind of the norm. And we did my last video blog was on kind of it was very blue based, but it was a blue theme on a fall sport coat combo. And I thought, let's do another one today and kind of go a little bit in a different direction. And we'll move the needle more towards a traditional office environment, but still in the context of a really interesting fall sport coat. So this one in particular, first and foremost, it's a little bit large on this mannequin. It's not made for me, and coincidentally, I tend to fit the mannequin pretty well. So it's a little bit baggy looking, but the thing I want to draw your attention to is the fabric. And I'll probably do a video on just this fabric and probably just this jacket in the future, because this fabric is actually bamboo, just like the plant, bamboo. And bamboo is a really interesting fabric. It's very breathable, and yet it does have some positive qualities to keep you warm. It's very insulative fabric, which is really cool. But in this context, let's just kind of keep it to the look, and we'll go into that fabric in a future blog. So obviously this is kind of a gray, what some might call more of a traditional office look. It's not too wild, it's not too colorful obviously, but we do have a strong pattern. And this pattern is what I think kind of makes it a sport coat versus a suit. We have something kind of going on, and of course there are some more casual details, but the fabric gives it kind of a textured look. I know you guys can't, it's kind of hard to imagine what it would feel like. You have to call us in person, we'd be happy to show you. But this just has a textured look and feel to it, which is really cool. And so it gives it a little bit of a casual aura, but at the same time, because of that color being gray, and of course the black accent, especially with a white shirt, white pocket square, this is a real dressed up look in the world of sport coats, in my opinion. So if you're trying to start a kind of a new wardrobe for yourself in the office, or you're trying to spruce things up this fall, a great way to do it, if you're in a very traditional, very conservative office environment, is to begin with kind of a muted tone. So instead of going with that brown and kind of blue plaid sport coat that you've seen me talk about quite a bit, this is much more of a traditional approach where it is kind of a gray. It's got black, it's very monochromatic in a lot of ways. And so it's not going to be too loud or attention grabbing. But it's still a very, very cool sport coat. And again, that fabric has a unique quality, which is very subtle, and some of the details. So one last thing I want to show you on this one, there is one loud aspect of it, and that is the felt under the collar here is the brightest blue you can find, which is super cool. And this kind of illustrates something that I like doing with sport coats, and I think is certainly not very common, but it is something that you tend to see in New York, I think. And that is when men leave the office on, say, work night, evening, heading home, and it's very cold outside, there's a chilly breeze in the air, and you can actually pop your collar. It's perfectly fine. You can pop your collar, guys, and you can throw a scarf on if you want. And it all goes back to remembering that a sport coat is practical, it is functional, it keeps you warm in the cooler months of the year. A summer sport coat, obviously, if it's a really warm day, well, it's probably best just to not wear a coat, so it kind of gets more ceremonial, more style based on the summer sport coat genre. But for your seasonal, your fully lined sport coats and a little bit thicker fabric, and again something like this bamboo that can kind of keep you warm but still very breathable, this is a coat. And there is a rhyme and reason to some of the cut and then styling, and I thought that this one little touch kind of emphasized that, because if you do pop the collar, suddenly you have a very unique jacket on from a distance, even though the rest of it looks very traditional, very office environment. Hope that helped. This was kind of an attempt to give you guys another look at a fall sport coat, because this is the time of year to start thinking about one and building one. And if you are going out shopping, how you can get a versatile sport jacket and one that will give you the most bang for your buck. Questions, sound off in the comments below. We love answering them, and we'll be back tomorrow with a new video. Thanks so much for your attention, guys, and don't forget to subscribe.